Second Chronicles chapter 32, verse 1. Second Chronicles 32 and 1. Second Chronicles chapter 32 and the first verse. The king of Assyria attacks Judah. After Hezekiah had faithfully done everything the Lord commanded him, King Sennacherib of Assyria came to attack the country of Judah. Sennacherib and his army camped outside the fortresses. He did this so that he could make plans to defeat these towns. Sennacherib wanted to win them for himself. Hezekiah knew that Sennacherib came to Jerusalem to attack it rather. Then Hezekiah talked to his officials and army officers. They all agreed to stop the waters of the water springs outside the city. The officials and army officers helped Hezekiah. Many people came together and stopped all the springs in the stream that flowed through the middle of the country. They said, "The king of Assyria will not find much water when he comes here." Hezekiah made Jerusalem stronger. This is how he did it. He rebuilt all the parts of the wall that were broken down and built the towers on the wall, and also built another wall outside the first wall, and rebuilt the strong places on the east side of the old part of Jerusalem, and made many weapons and shields. He chose officers of war to be in charge of the people. He met with these officers at the open place near the city gate. He talked to the officers and encouraged them and said, "Be strong and brave. Don't be afraid or worry about the king of Assyria or the large army with him. There's a greater power with us than the king of Assyria has with him. The king of Assyria only has men, but we have the Lord our God with us. Our God will help us. He will fight our battles." So King Hezekiah of Judah encouraged the people and made them feel stronger. King Sennacherib of Assyria and all his army were camped near the town of Lachish so that they could defeat it. Then Sennacherib sent his officers to King Hezekiah of Judah and to all the people of Judah and Jerusalem. His officers had a message for Hezekiah and all the people in Jerusalem. They said, "King Sennacherib of Assyria says this: What do you trust in that makes you stay under attack in Jerusalem? Hezekiah is fooling you. You're being tricked into staying in Jerusalem so that you will die from hunger and thirst. Hezekiah says to you, the Lord our God will save us from the king of Assyria." But Hezekiah himself took away the high places and altars that belonged to that God. He told you, people of Judah and Jerusalem, that you must worship and burn incense only on one altar. Of course, you know what my ancestors and I have done to all the peoples in other countries. The gods of the other countries could not save their people. Those gods could not stop me from destroying their people. My ancestors destroyed those countries. There is no God that can stop me from destroying his people. So you think your God can save you from me? Don't let Hezekiah fool you or trick you. Don't believe him, because no God of any nation or kingdom has ever been able to help keep his people safe from me or my ancestors. Don't think your God can stop me from destroying you. The officers of the king of Assyria said worse things against the Lord God and against Hezekiah, God's servant. The king of Assyria also wrote letters that insulted the Lord, the God of Israel. This is what the king of Assyria said in those letters: "The gods of the other nations could not stop me from destroying their people. In the same way, Hezekiah's God will not be able to stop me from destroying his people." Then the Assyrian officers shouted loudly to the people of Jerusalem who were on the city wall. They spoke in the language of Judah so that the people on the wall could understand and be frightened enough that the Assyrians could capture the city of Jerusalem. Then they insulted the God of Jerusalem just as they had insulted all the gods of the people from other nations, even though those gods are only things people made with their hands. Hezekiah the king and the prophet Isaiah, son of Amos, prayed about this problem. They prayed very loudly to heaven. Then the Lord sent an angel to the king of Assyria's camp. That angel killed all the soldiers, leaders, and officers in the Assyrian army. So the king of Assyria went back home to his own country, and his people were ashamed of him. He went into the temple of his God, and some of his own sons killed him there with a sword. So the Lord saved Hezekiah and the people in Jerusalem from King Sennacherib of Assyria and from all other people. He cared for Hezekiah and the people of Jerusalem. Many people brought gifts for the Lord to Jerusalem. They brought valuable things to King Hezekiah of Judah. From that time on, all the nations respected Hezekiah. It was in those days that Hezekiah became very sick and near death. He prayed to the Lord, and he spoke to Hezekiah and gave him a sign. But Hezekiah's heart was proud, so he did not give thanks to God for his kindness. That is why God was angry with Hezekiah and with the people of Judah and Jerusalem. But Hezekiah and the people living in Jerusalem changed their hearts and lives. The Lord's anger didn't come on them while Hezekiah was alive. Hezekiah had many riches and much honor. He had places to keep silver, gold, valuable jewels, spices, shields, and all kinds of things. He had storage buildings for the grain, new wine, and oil that people sent to him. He had stalls for all the cattle and stalls for the sheep. Hezekiah also built many towns, and he got many flocks of sheep and cattle. God gave him much wealth. It was Hezekiah who stopped the upper source of the waters of the Gihon spring in Jerusalem and made the waters flow straight down on the west side of the city of David. He was successful in everything he did. One time, the leaders of Babylon sent messengers to Hezekiah. The messengers asked about a strange sign that had happened in the nations. When they came, God left Hezekiah alone to test him and to know everything that was in Hezekiah's heart. Everything else Hezekiah did as king and the ways he served God faithfully are written in the book, the vision of the prophet Isaiah, son of Amos, and in the book, the history of the kings of Judah and Israel. Hezekiah died and was buried with his ancestors. The people buried him on the hill where the graves of David's ancestors are. All the people of Judah and those living in Jerusalem gave honor to Hezekiah when he died. Hezekiah's son Manasseh became the new king in his place. 2 Chronicles 33, Manasseh, king of Judah. Manasseh was 12 years old when he became king of Judah. He was king for 55 years in Jerusalem. Manasseh did what the Lord said was wrong. He followed the terrible and sinful ways of the nations that the Lord had forced out of the land before the Israelites. Manasseh rebuilt the high places that his father Hezekiah had broken down. He built altars for the Baal gods and made Asherah poles. He bowed down to the constellations and worshiped those groups of stars. He built altars for false gods in the Lord's temple. The Lord said about the temple, "My name will be in Jerusalem forever." He built altars for all the groups of stars in the 2 yards of the Lord's temple. He also burned his own children for a sacrifice in the valley of Ben Hinnom. He also used magic by soothsaying, divination, and sorcery. He talked with mediums and wizards. He did many things that the Lord said were evil and made him angry. Manasseh also made a statue of an idol and put it in God's temple, the very same temple that God had talked about to David and his son Solomon. God had said, "I will put my name in this house and in Jerusalem, the city that I chose from all the cities and all the tribes, and my name will be there forever. I will not continue to keep the Israelites off the land that I chose to give to their ancestors, but they must obey everything I commanded them. The Israelites must obey all the laws, rules, and commands that I gave to Moses to give to them." Manasseh encouraged the people of Judah and the people living in Jerusalem to do wrong. They were worse than the nations that were in the land before the Israelites, and the Lord destroyed those people. The Lord spoke to Manasseh and to his people, but they refused to listen. So the Lord brought commanders from the king of Assyria's army to attack Judah. These commanders captured Manasseh and made him their prisoner. They put hooks in him and brass chains on his hands and took him to the country of Babylon. When those troubles came to him, Manasseh begged from the Lord. He begged for help from the Lord his God. He humbled himself before the God of his ancestors. Manasseh prayed to God and begged him for help. God heard his begging and felt sorry for him, so he let Manasseh return to Jerusalem and to his throne. Then Manasseh knew that the Lord was the true God. After that happened, Manasseh built an outer wall for the city of David. This wall went to the west of the Gihon Spring and Kidron Valley, to the entrance of the fish gate and around the hill of Ophel. He made the wall very tall, then he put officers in all the fortresses in Judah. Manasseh took away the strange idol gods, and he took the idol out of the Lord's temple. He took away all the altars he had built on the temple hill and in Jerusalem. Manasseh threw all the altars out of the city of Jerusalem. Then he set up the Lord's altar and fellowship offerings and thank offerings on it. He gave a command for all the people of Judah to serve the Lord, the God of Israel. The people continued to offer sacrifices at the high places, but their sacrifices were only to the Lord their God. Everything else Manasseh did, his prayer to his God and the words of the seers who spoke to him in the name of the Lord, the God of Israel, are all written in the book, the official record of the kings of Israel. Manasseh's prayer and how God listened and felt sorry for him are written in the book of the seers. All his sins, the wrongs he did before he humbled himself, and the places where he built high places and set up the Asherah poles are written in the book of the seers. So Manasseh died and was buried with his ancestors. The people buried Manasseh in his own palace. Buried him in his own palace. Manasseh's son Ammon became the new king in his place. Ammon, king of Judah. Ammon was 22 years old when he became king of Judah. He was king for 2 years in Jerusalem. Ammon did evil before the Lord, just as his father Manasseh had done. Ammon offered sacrifices for all the carved idols and statues that Manasseh his father made. Ammon worshiped those idols. Ammon did not humble himself in front of the Lord like Manasseh his father humbled himself. But Ammon sinned more and more. His servants made plans against him. They killed Ammon in his own house. But the people of Judah killed all the servants who planned against King Ammon. Then the people chose Ammon's son Josiah to be the new king. This is the word of the Lord. Place those words in the comment section. Follow, like, share, and subscribe, and encourage